Good afternoon. I'm Grace, and this is Becky, and we're both co-leaders for the Uganda 2015 project, where we built a new skill building in Kaihura, Uganda. This is our team. We had 5 Duke engineers, and we also work with local construction workers when we got to go implement the project in Uganda. The man standing beside me, the guy in the blue jumpsuit, his name is Robert, and he's a local engineer there who is actually being sponsored by several Duke students.
So just to give you a little background, Uganda is located on the east side of Africa, and we were in a small village called Kaihura, which was closest to the city of Fort Portal and about a 5-hour drive away from the nearest airport. So our goal was to build a new school for Bringing Hope to the Community, which was a partner that Duke has worked with for many years. So the problem was that their current school buildings, there was lack of structural integrity due to termite infestation, and it also wasn't a very conducive environment for learning because it was a very, I guess, flimsy building, and you could hear noises from outside, from other classrooms, so it was pretty hard for the students to focus and learn. And so it was a private school, so we were trying to help with accessibility and the prestige of the school to enhance that for this community.
So originally the plan was to demolish the old school buildings and replace it with one huge new school block with 7 classrooms and an office. And we went to Uganda pretty prepared. We had a completed drawing with our school block, with the classes and the office. And we did calculations from basically the roof down. So we did calculations for the roof purlins, the truss of the roof, the bricks, the bomb beam, the columns, the brick walls, and the foundation. And so, yeah, and even the concrete. So we were pretty prepared.
And then when we got there, the community told us that they had something new in mind, that they were going to keep their current school building, but they wanted us to create a new building on this site, which was kind of like in front of the school. And as you can tell from the pictures, it is a very steep incline. So we had to rethink our designs a little bit. We did some surveying to kind of figure out what we were going to do. And they also decided that instead of one big school building, they wanted one building separate for the upper grades and for the office building. So kind of in an L shape with one building this way and another this way, and like an inner kind of courtyard area to keep an eye on the children that were outside playing.
So this was a challenge because we had to dig a lot, especially for the foundation. And just working with the construction workers and making sure that everything was leveled, everything was secure and sustainable was definitely a challenge. So we spent a lot of time digging, and Robert really helped us learn how to use a shovel.
And just to emphasize, it's very different than construction here because we were using manual labor entirely and shovels and hose, and that's all we had. The other really big challenge was the transportation of the materials we would be using. So from that picture in the top left, so the delivery trucks dumped the materials in that location, and our site is actually through those trees and down the hill there. So we had to come up with a way to bring those materials down to the site. And there was that little path on the upper right hand, which they kind of used as a garbage area. So we decided, and it wasn't very sturdy ground, we decided we were going to like flatten that land and compact the soil there so that the delivery trucks could then drive through that and bring the materials closer to the actual building site. So we used our resources. There were a lot of termite hills next to that garbage area, and we used termite hills as like the soil to put on top of that area. So using what we had.
And so actually that presented a problem because we spend a lot of time just moving our materials from where it was to the location of our construction site. So we got some kids to help us one day, which was a lot of fun. And we also got the other Duke students who went to Uganda with us to help us out. And we also got really creative with the way that we tossed the bricks and the way that we transported them. Yeah, and so we also had to mix concrete, and this was done by just measuring it out with wheelbarrows and spraying it down with a hose, mixing it up manually, and pouring it into the columns or the foundation or whatever it was needed. And so that was it was a lot of physical labor, and it was fun.
And I would say our main, the way we helped the most was both with the concrete mixing and in just being there to hand off the bricks to the local construction workers. We actually didn't place any of the bricks because we're not professional masonry workers. So they were in charge of doing that. We were kind of their helpers. And so this is partially constructed school building. You can see we have the concrete columns and the bricks and mortar. That top wooden formwork there was a bond beam, a concrete bond beam that was being placed there for structural support.
Yeah, and this is kind of where we left off. We wanted to do a little more, but we kind of did run into some issues, including there was a couple of days we didn't get any materials because there was some issues with paying for the materials, and so that kind of caused a delay, as well as weather and stuff like that, and being that our construction site was on a hill and having to dig for a lot of time. So. Yeah, and this is what it looks now. It's completed and it's in full use. And the past team who went actually got to teach in our new school building, which is really exciting.